and welcome to Behind the Mic Radio, and I'm your host, Dawn Mack, and welcome to Wednesday. Hump day, as they say. That means that it's downhill from here. At least I hope so. Friday's not far away. For those of you who yearn for Friday, like I do, isn't that kind of the norm now? It's coming, folks, but at least, hey, I think spring has finally arrived for a lot of folks. People are happy about that, so that makes it a little bit better. And so tonight we are so very excited because we have a guest who, ever since I found out we had him booked, I've just been really anxious to talk with him and find out more about him and his career. And he's just so esteemed in what he does. And he is considered one of the most diverse and hardworking tap dance artists today. He was mentored by the late, great Gregory Hines and has performed in various venues both nationally and internationally. And we proudly welcome andrew-nemr. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well. And did I say your last name properly? I forgot to ask you before we went live.
Yeah, Nimr. That's totally
great,
cool.
Great. I'm always afraid I'm going to butcher someone's name on air, and I'm so thankful that I got it right, thankfully. So thank you so much, and welcome. I know you've been incredibly busy of late, so we really appreciate the fact that you're giving us a little bit of your time this evening to chat with us about what you do and who you are and the great things you've got coming up. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Happy to be here. Happy to take some time away from kind of rehearsals and just getting ready for the show.
Well, I first want to talk to you because I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there that are very curious about the same thing, and that is just how you got your start. I mean, give us a little bit of background on you, how you got to be from where you were to where you are.
Sure. So the dime tour of my history, basically, is I started when I was 3 and a half. So it was really, really early on. I'm an only child, and my folks basically just wanted me to do something with other kids. So tap dancing became this social activity, and that's how I started. The studio was walking distance from our house, so we only had one car at the time. So, if my dad needed the car, Mom and I would take the bus or just walk over. And I just really enjoyed it. The teacher was a guy, so I think that was helpful for me as a young boy, just to be comfortable. And one thing led to another. I wanted to kind of take class from the good teachers in the school, and they only taught the performing troupe kids. So I wanted to join the performing troupe so I could be with those teachers, and that meant that I had to do competitions. So I started competing, and then in 1989, the movie Tap came out, and that was a big turning point for me. The movie Tap starred Gregory Hines with his mentor, Sammy Davis Jr., a young Savion Glover. I think Savion was 14 in the film. And it also featured a number of the old masters, so Jimmy Slide, Steve Condos, Bunny Briggs, and others. These were dancers that were really well known in the height of their career in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And when I saw them on the screen and saw them dancing, I kind of flipped and fell in love for what I saw. And so, we started trying to search for what exactly that was, because what I was doing in the dance school wasn't necessarily what I saw on the screen. And we found a company that said in Washington, D.C., which is where I grew up, that said that they were starting and that's the kind of tap dancing that they were going to do. So joined that company, and within a year of seeing the movie, I had an opportunity to take class and meet Gregory Hines and Savion Glover. And that moment kind of led me down a path of eventually working with Savion and being mentored by Gregory, and through them meeting a lot of the older generation of dancers as well.
Wow, that's just incredible. I mean, when you early on said, I want to work with the really esteemed teachers that know their stuff. I mean, it was almost as if you knew then that, not that you would be eventually working with Gregory Hines, but you knew exactly what you wanted, at least from dancing, to get the most out of it, apparently.
Yeah, for whatever reason, as a child, I knew that I wanted, if I was going to do something, I wanted to be good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was going to be good at it, I had to be with people who were teaching well. So I was really attracted to anybody that I felt was open and giving and generous with the knowledge that they had.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I'm curious about is what first fascinated you about the art of tap dancing?
Gosh, at 3.5 years old, I don't really know.
Well, I mean, later on, I guess, when you saw that movie, and
okay.
and you said, maybe at 3 you wouldn't have known what tap dancing was, but at that point when you said that was a defining moment for you, I mean, what kind of drew you to that? What was so fascinating about it?
Well, there's a particular scene in the movie that is commonly known as the challenge scene. So if anybody goes out and watches the movie Tap, you can just fast forward to the challenge scene, and you will see about 8 or 9 tap dancers each come out in the middle of this circle and dance a little. And they come out one after another, and each one of them is different. The style of dancing, their personality, the kind of sounds that they create, the steps and the pictures that they make are all different. So I kind of was really attracted to that idea of individual expression and freedom, their sense of confidence and just flowing through time and space was really, really attractive.
Well, one of the things that's always fascinated me watching someone tap dance is just how easy someone makes it look, yet I know it's so difficult, it's so challenging, but it's just, people that do tap dance, I mean, it's so fast, and me personally, if I tried it, I would probably be falling on my face. But, I've always been amazed at how the footwork just kind of goes. I mean, it is almost like something you do, you can't think about it. It just happens. Is that really how it is? Or how does that all come into play?
Well, it's kind of like talking. That's the best analogy I've been able to come up with, in so much as we have all these words, all these kind of notes and tones and different combinations thereof that we know and we're familiar with, and we learn how to put them together in sentences and phrases and maybe paragraphs and sometimes essays and maybe even a novel every now and again that make sense. What I tend to enjoy is the improvisational aspect of things. So a lot of what I do is in duet scenarios, so it'll be me and either another dancer or another musician playing a song or just improvising with one another. So I'm using everything that I know and trying to be engaged in the moment to make the choices that the moment demands. So it's like kind of in that place between not thinking and thinking.
Well, yeah, it would have to be. I mean, like I said, to someone like me who's watching someone like you tap dance, it's just mesmerizing. I mean, you're just in awe of the fact that you're up there doing what you do. To me, it looks incredibly hard. To you, it's second nature. It's kind of like the back of your hand almost, But you mentioned Gregory Hines in that movie. I mean, he was, when I think of tap dancing, he was who, I've always thought of.
Yeah.
And I saw taps. That's been so long ago. Honestly, I would, now that you've brought it up, I want to go see it again. I want to rent it and catch it. I mean, it was a great movie, and I love watching dancing anyway. So it was just really a great film. And, then obviously he was one of your earliest influences. And, speaking of Gregory Hines, he was your mentor for a number of years, as you mentioned. And how did, what was it? Did you realize at the time, you know, you'd seen him in the movie, but when he actually became your mentor, did you realize just how big that was, how huge that was?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it took me a couple years, even in that mentorship relationship, to be comfortable, to not continually reflect on the fact that I was walking with, hanging out with, writing an email to, on the phone with this guy that was who he was. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he continues to be an influence on me and, you know, a number of other dancers to this day.
What was it like for you working with him?
Oh, gosh, it was a blast. He was probably one of the most generous, humorous, down-to-earth, kind of I am human too guys that I've ever had the pleasure of just hanging out with. And so, you know, inside and outside the dancing that we did, just his example as a person was really, really special. You know,
anytime I ever saw Gregory Hines, you know, being on television or interview or just whatever, he just always had such a gentle spirit about him. And, you know, he was never over the top. And it was almost like, you know, he came across as being very humble. He was certainly not someone that ever let his notoriety or his fame go to his head. He was very grounded in, you know, who he was, which I think really shone through above all else that people knew about him.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, the things that his example kind of remind me of as I develop shows and my career kind of expands are those moments, the stories of him taking phone calls from random people calling his hotel room and having hour-long conversations with them. You know, because he never went by an alias. He was just who he was, and he allowed everybody else to be who they were around him, and he enjoyed that. He enjoyed giving people the freedom to find out their own voice.
And that's such an incredible thing because, you know, a lot of people that have gained fame and notoriety, either they aren't able to do that with their fan base or they won't do it, you know, for lots of various reasons. And I think that is just, you know, that speaks to his character, that he would, you know, he never, ever seemed to put himself above anyone else. He was just as human, as normal as the next person. And you know, that was, I think, the magic of Gregory Hines that I, you know, perceived as I saw him doing various things. You never got that, you know, he was never someone you ever got bad press on. You was, you know, it was just always the most positive, gracious, you know, demeanor and mannerism, you know, that a person could put out there, you know, for the public eye to see. But you never felt like it was pretentious. You know, you always felt like it was extremely genuine.
Yeah, I don't think he put on an act.
Yeah.
And they say that if you never keep a secret or if you never tell a lie, you don't have to remember anything.
Very true. Very
true. So Greg was kind of like that guy that he was like, this is who I am. Right now, I'm, you know, if I'm not feeling that great right now, I'm still going to, you know, be in the company of others. I might not talk as much, but that's cool too because that's how it is right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
well,
because it was genuine, it was just like, oh no, that's fine. I was thinking because it was genuine, everybody else was cool with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know how you know, when you're genuine, you have no reason to think otherwise about someone or their intentions or their motives. I mean, it just is what it is. and you can take it to the bank almost. It is very truthful and honest, and people, I think, are very accepting of that, more so than anything else when it comes to dealing with others, and interactions and so forth. Gregory Hines just had that about him. Like I said, I just always perceived that. I just never thought of him as being anyone other than who he was. He was just, a legend in his own time, for sure. What are some of your fondest memories of him that you have, be it as his, him being your mentor or just, I guess, a personal friend?
Well, there are two things that kind of stand out. One is in the dance side of things, every time that I would be dancing around him, if he was anywhere within earshot, he would just yell out, "Take your time." And that I continue, like, that voice is in my head continually to this day. Just because I think he saw or knew how much pressure I would put on myself, and kind of how much, if you think you have something to say, you're continually trying to find it, and it's almost the complete opposite that needs to happen in order for the voice to come out. And so he always, like, in the midst of performance too, he would just be around and say, "Take your time, no problem, relax." You're like, okay, fine. There was one moment, and this kind of gives you an idea of who Greg was. We were coming out of a reception. This was following one of his shows, and it was Greg, myself, and my parents. And my parents have been everywhere with me, completely supportive, getting me to all these places. And upon leaving this reception, we have to go through a revolving door. And so we enter this revolving door, and it's Gregory first, I'm second, my mother's third, and my dad comes in fourth. And we go around once, and Greg doesn't leave, and he goes around a second time. Then we go around a third time. By the fourth time, my dad's pushing from behind. Greg jumps out of the revolving door, grabs myself and my mom, pulls us aside, and blames the whole episode on my father. Yeah, that's one of the best moments. Yeah,
that is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are things you have with you. I mean, I'm sure you have so many memories that they're just countless. And I think you wouldn't be where you are today or who you are today in your craft if you weren't naturally hearing his voice in your head saying, "Take your time."
Sure.
I mean, how appropriate is that? What do you miss the most about him?
Gosh, there's a lot. Personally, I just miss him as my friend. I miss being able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, this just happened. What do I do?" Whether it's something personal or professional, he was, besides my dad, he was like the second call for me. But I think, even broader than that, I miss him as the leader of the tap community, like being able to walk into a room and be respected by everybody in the field, and just have this ability to shine the light on the form in a fashion that was inclusive. And I think that's something that's really, really special about Greg. Like he knew what he liked, and he knew how it is that he wanted to do it, but he also would run over to somebody else and say, "Yes, what you're doing is awesome."
Oh.
yeah, it was completely encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, that is, and that's also highly motivating as well when you have someone like him who, you know, was such an expert in what he did to be able to encourage you in such a huge way. I mean, that also stays with the person, you know?
Yeah.
That's for sure. Now, you co-founded the Tap Legacy Foundation along with Gregory in an effort to continue to champion the art form of tap dance. And exactly what does the foundation do, and who actually benefits from that?
Well, the foundation was started back in 2002, actually, to try and solve a few key issues that tap dance as an art form faces. The first major one is the fact that tap dance is an oral history. So there are certain things about the craft that you can't find out or learn unless you are engaged one-on-one or just person to person with someone who has experienced it prior. That being said, within the historical art of tap dance, there's a generation gap. So tap dance was unpopular during the 50s and 60s, you know, early 70s. It started to regain some popularity. And so during that time, there weren't a lot of tap dancers kind of experiencing the form or getting experience, actually. So right now, we're experiencing that lack of kind of primary source experience, if you will. So what the Tap Legacy Foundation really tries to do is we try to produce programming that would help re-kickstart the oral tradition, so that outside of just work or class, we have events that bring together as many generations as possible so that conversations can start up again, and people can hear the stories of what used to happen and how things used to be done, and so that they can take that information and then hopefully either apply it in their own craft work or give it to their students, and so on and so forth.
That's phenomenal. You know, that's so great.
Thank you. I mean, it's a really interesting thing because, you know, a lot of stuff is happening online, and we do have a series of websites that post, you know, dancers and their bodies of work and, you know, just practical information that isn't really available online. So we do that avenue, but as the culture kind of goes virtual, we're trying to bring people together on the other side of the screen and really try to get them to talk and feel and get that personal engagement, because that's really what kept me involved, and what really I feel was special about my experience within the craft is having these personal relationships with people who are also kind of guiding you in the form.
Yeah, I mean, and I think knowledge is power, and you are right. I mean, we are becoming a virtual society, and so people tend to gravitate to the Internet as their kind of source space for everything nowadays. And so I think the concept is just incredible because it's going to, you know, social media as a whole and the Internet as a whole has given, you know, people so many different ways and avenues to gain resources for what they're trying to learn. And you know, what you guys are doing is outstanding. And it's helping keep something that is very, very important to the arts alive. And that is, you know, the arts are so critical, I think, to our kids and our youth, you know, for so many different reasons. You know, and one of the things that I recently learned about you is that your tap dance company, I wanted to give you a huge kudos because I learned that your tap dance company, CPD PLUS, which stands for Cats Playing Dues. I always get tongue-tied when I say that. But I understand that you're taking that project into the schools now. And I just think that's awesome because the schools need all of the arts, the various different art forms between dance and music and, acting, theater, all of those types of experiences that they can get.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. The thing that drew us into the schools for the company was actually the issue of bullying. A lot of what we do, a lot of what I do, is narrative based. So the company show that we developed to take into schools draws out personal stories from each company member of bullying, intimidation, kind of teasing at various points in their lives, and then we intermingle that with tap dancing.
Mhm.
So the kids get both. They get this really cool, visceral, artistic experience, and then they also get these stories that they may or may not be able to identify with, and just really try and kickstart that conversation depending on the student population.
Well, and that is, bullying nowadays, I mean, as I continue to do this radio thing, I'm hearing more and more that, well, we've known for a while that bullying is a huge problem in our schools, but, it is people like you who are taking that problem and really addressing it and using what you do and your gifts and talents to make a difference in the lives of kids. And it's just amazing to me all the different, entities out there that are trying to combat this problem from so many different sides, because it's one of the biggest problems, our youth face in today's society. And so I think that is such a positive for the kids, because I think whatever takeaway we can give them in something like that, especially with what you're doing, that's gonna stick. They're gonna remember. Not only that your tap dance company went into their school, but a student is going to remember why you were there, and it's going to be quite memorable for them and very remarkable.
Yeah, and that's really the hope. That's really the hope, is that we use the crafts that we've been given for the greater good, for reconciliation, for trying to open up discussions that may otherwise be considered, harder to start or nobody really wants to talk about. If you can get on the stage and tap dance a little and then start talking about something, people forget that they're talking about a quote unquote deep topic. Yeah.
And it does, I think it tends to break down barriers, in protective walls that some of these kids who may have been bullied and or have been the bullier,
Yep.
it tends to break some barriers there and gets people talking and makes them aware from either side of the fence, just how wrong bullying is. And raising that awareness is really the key. And I think that's outstanding what you're doing. I applaud you for taking that topic and really addressing it and not being afraid to, just really doing something that the kids can relate to, and hopefully it will make a difference, and that's what it's all about. I understand that you have a very big show coming up in just a few short days. I think April 18th, and you're going to be at the Cutting Room in New York City in a show called Andrew-nemr and Friends. So talk a little bit about that. That sounds so exciting.
So it's a really special show. This is the project that I have now that I'm kind of the most excited about, because I get to bring together everything, kind of every aspect of my journey thus far. So I get to tell stories of how I got into tap dancing and talk about my relationship with Gregory while I tap dance. So it's kind of like a tap dance narrative in that sense. And then I get to bring up friends, musicians and my company members, people that I've met along the way that have inspired me, and I get to share them with the audience. So this time around we have Gordon Webster, who is a phenomenal pianist, really well known in the Lindy Hop and swing world, but also plays, modern jazz, if you will. We have Gregory Jones, who's a electric bassist, toured with Savion Glover for years and plays Brazilian music as well as jazz. We have Daria Musk, who is a social media phenom, singer, songwriter, pop artist. We have Sean Nowell, who is a phenomenal tenor saxophone player. I first heard him playing odd-metered funk music. We have David Egar, who's a Grammy-nominated cellist. My entire dance company is going to be there, so all the dancers from Cats Paying Dues. And we have a special guest next week who I'm really excited about. It's Nat Adderley Jr., and he used to be the musical director for Luther Vandross.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be playing a couple tunes.
What an incredible lineup. I wish I were closer to New York City and could or fly up, and see this. That is amazing. That's going to be an awesome show. And so I would just tell the listeners out there, if you're in the New York City area on April 18th, what's the time of the show, Andrew?
So the doors are going to open at 6:30. There's dinner at the club. The club is a beautifully newly remodeled space, cabaret seating, so everybody's seated at tables. Great sight lines for the stage. So the doors will open at 6:30, and then the show's going to start at 8 o'clock.
So anyone that's listening tonight, if you're in the New York City area, you need to check this out. It sounds like it's going to be an incredible show, and I think it very, very well could be a sellout. I really believe it will be. Now, can people purchase, can they purchase tickets in advance to the show, or do they have to wait till the night of?
No, advance tickets are completely available. You can go to either andrew-nemr.com, my website, and there's a link for tickets there, or you can go directly to the Cutting Room's website as well.
Awesome. So this is going to sound a little bit comical when I phrase this, but what is something that you would like to do that you haven't tapped into yet? No pun intended.
Very nice.
Nice play on words, huh?
Yeah, no, it was really, really cool. Let's see. Gosh, does it have to be dance-related?
No, because, you've done so much, and it's like, well, is there anything that he has not done that he would love to do? And that's the reason I asked the question, because you're so fascinating as an individual, a human being. And then when you look at all your accomplishments and everything that you've done, it's like, well, there's got to be something. So, no, it does not have to be dance-related at all.
Okay, cool. So, there is a small dream of mine professionally, and that is to go back to Lebanon, where my folks are from, and to perform there. They left in 1976 in the middle of the Civil War, and I've never been. So to go back home, so to speak, and to perform there, I think would be amazing. Outside of dancing, I would love to be able to pet a tiger.
Pet a tiger?
Yeah. My last name
simple.
Actually means tiger in English.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so I've kind of had a fascination with that particular big cat for a really, really long time, and I've never, you go to the zoo and you can see them, and that's all cool, but I've never been able to get up close and personal with one, and I think that would be amazing.
Well, you know what? On both counts, both things, I mean, those definitely sound like bucket list items, but yet someone in your position and all that you've accomplished and the many, many network of connections, people listening out there are going to go, hey, they're going to be tweeting you now going, I know how you can go pet a tiger. I know someone. You know, the emails are going to be rolling now. I mean, really, like someone may very well tweet you and go, hey, I've got a friend of a friend that owns a tiger. Want to come? You know, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, you just never know how these things go. I mean, it's the beauty of social media, right? Well,
so
you are a very brave and courageous man, because I don't know that I would have that kind of courage to pet a tiger. I would have to be really assured that they were completely tame and all was well, and there was no chance of getting my head bit off. You know, I could pet them and be done with it. But that would be cool if it, you know. So I hope
go
that ever
for the
happens.
baby cub too. Like it
not
doesn't
full
have
grown.
to be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be full grown.
Well, you know, but the full grown would be probably the more exciting, because you figure the baby cubs are going to be somewhat tame to a point. You know,
sure.
It's the big ones. But if you ever do that, you have to have a picture made. You know, very quick snapshot, by the way. It can't be one of those, take 2 and 3 pictures, you know, kind of thing, and then you have to post it everywhere. That would be so cool.
Most definitely. No, we will do.
Now, if you know, one thing I wanted to ask you is, if someone out there that's listening aspires to become a tap dance artist, what is your best advice for them?
Oh gosh, well, find a place to start. The one thing that I think prevents a lot of people today from starting is, like, I want to start right. I want to find the right place first time out. And, you know, I've seen a lot of dancers come up from varying directions and end up in a place where they have a really nice, well-rounded picture of the craft and a well-rounded skill set too. So I would say get into a class. Get into a nice beginning level class, and then see what draws your attention, whether it's a particular step, or you can go on YouTube now and see tons of old tap dance clips. And I would recommend watching the old ones. Like, the older the clip, the better. And then you can, you know, once you have a basic understanding of kind of the mechanics behind the body, which you can get in a beginner level tap class, you can start stealing steps from YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah,
you make that sound. You make that sound a lot easier than it looks. Believe me. You really. I mean, you know, well spoken from the expert in that was mentioned by Gregory Hines. I'm totally joking. I'm teasing you. But I mean, that is really fascinating. That, you know, in all seriousness, that, you know, if you get the basics in a good class, that as you kind of you familiarize yourself and you start to learn that craft, that you can actually, you know, pick it up. I mean, pick up some stuff on YouTube. That's incredible. But that's, again, the beauty of the internet now. I mean, YouTube is like the video encyclopedia of the world, I believe. You know, it's amazing the things you can learn just from watching, you know, someone else do it and a video, you know, be portrayed on there. So there's, you know, I guess learning comes in so many forms, and a visual, you know, with tap dancing being such a visual art anyway, you know, the more the merrier in terms of resources to draw upon.
By all means.
For sure.
By all means. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a little trick about kind of mastery that I was taught when I was starting out really early on, actually. One of my teachers said the tap masters weren't masters because they knew everything about tap dancing. They were masters because they knew everything about themselves.
That's so true, wouldn't you say? I think we have to know ourselves very well in order to be able to feel confident enough in ourselves to know what we, you know, our craft and what we do. you've got to have that in order to be able to really learn all you can when you're trying to, perfect a craft, whether it be dancing or art or whatever it may be, music or anything along those lines. It goes beyond the whole practice makes perfect. That's a huge part of it. But if you really don't know who you are, then, it kind of, there's something missing. There's that missing piece.
Yeah, well, there are only so many hours in the day, and so you can only practice so much, and the final choice is with you. So you have to enjoy or at least like what it is that you're practicing. And for me, that's how I was able to find my voice, as I started making those kinds of choices. Like, I would rather practice this than this. So my voice ended up over on this side as opposed to that side.
And that makes so much sense. I mean, in terms of it all, and what it boils down to is if we know ourselves, then we pretty much can conquer just about anything we set our minds to, because we don't have that, little voice inside our heads going, you can never do this kind of thing, to disavow what you're trying to accomplish. And if Gregory were here today, what do you think he would say to you, seeing all that you've accomplished and you've achieved just in the time since he's, been gone from here?
If he didn't say take your time, I think he'd probably just look at me and smile. I don't think he'd say anything.
No words needed.
I think he would just give me a grin, and then we would walk or we would talk about something else. Yeah. Yeah. And that's so neat because I do remember that iconic smile that he had. And it often, it was just as genuine as he was, because you just felt like that on the inside, he smiled a lot within as well. And it seemed to just really protrude outward for all the world to see. And that just kind of goes back to the genuine nature that we were speaking about earlier. What would you consider your biggest achievement to date? Oh gosh, I don't know. I think if it's anything, for me, I think it's the fact that I've been able to. I've been gifted, really. Like, the achievement is a gift. It's just the fact that I've been gifted with the friendships and the relationships that I've had throughout this journey that continue to inspire the work that I do. And they teach me so much about love and sharing and listening and all the things that kind of make or have the potential to make a singular moment special. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that I can really do to make that happen except try to prepare myself the best I can. And that, to me, is just, if you want to have that special moment, then you do that work.
That's so true. I mean, that is very well put, beautifully said, because I think that's with anything in life. The connections we make, the people we meet along our journey are truly, I think a lot of times they have the biggest impact upon our journey as we go. We are truly in charge of our own destiny, but those special friendships and those bonds that we make with people that are connected to us by virtue of what we do or what we accomplish really are a huge part of the accomplishment,
Yeah, by all means. I mean, the kind of cornerstone of this show is the fact that none of the moments would have happened or they won't happen unless somebody else is there. Whether it's, whether it's Gregory and then that relationship supplied all these stories, or the musicians that I'm sharing the moments with.
Yes. Very well said. Well, I want to thank you so very much for being with us this evening and sharing, your memories of Gregory Hines and just about your phenomenal career. It's just been amazing what you've done and what you have still left to do, and so that's exciting to know that we're going to be seeing a lot more of you as we move forward and all the amazing things that you're doing in so many different ways. I mean, you're not just strictly a tap dance artist. You are a tap dance artist that is doing things to make a difference and to change people and change the world, and that's really what we're here for, I believe.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, thank you so very much, and best of luck to you as you move forward. And I guess, I don't know if you say this, I know you say this in showbiz. I don't know if you say this in tap dancing, but break a leg?
Yeah, that
we
works.
don't want to break. You don't want to break a leg when you're tap dancing, though. That wouldn't go over too well.
No, you break it from bowing too much, and that works. I'll take that one.
Well, okay. As long as you say it's okay, that's great. No, I'm teasing you, but yes, we wish you all the best and great success with your upcoming show on the 18th. So we do appreciate your time this evening, and we would love to have you back at some point and talk about anything new that you may have going on.
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and you enjoy your night, and we'll chat with you again real soon.
All right. You too. Take care.
All right. Take care. God bless. Well, folks, you have just been listening to our wonderful interview with Andrew-nemr, and he is just an amazing person. And if you've never seen him perform, I would highly recommend that you go to his website, check him out, and just watch some of the video footage. Oh, it's just chock full of information. I mean, it's unreal, the information that he's put out there for you. About, the art and just everything that he's doing for, tap dancing and the art of dancing, and just for people who are really wanting to keep up, the sport of it. It's an incredible thing, and I don't know when he sleeps, honestly. When I looked at his website initially, I was like, wow. He's busy, but he's busy making a difference in so many different areas, and that's the beauty of it. And so he has a show, as mentioned during the interview. It's coming up on April 18th, and it's going to be at the Cutting Room in New York City. Again, if you're in New York City, check it out. It's a one-night only performance. It starts at 8 p.m., and it's Andrew-nemr and Friends, and it's a whole host of talent that's going to be on board for that. And tickets are on sale. You can actually go to Andrew's site, andrew-nemr, and that's NEMR.com, and right there on the front page, you can find out all the information about it, and you can buy tickets. You can also go to the Cutting Room website and get your tickets there in advance. And also you can follow Andrew on Twitter, is Andrew-nemr. He's also on Facebook. And he has a lot of videos on YouTube. Just, search for him, and you'll see just how phenomenal he is. To have, been mentored by Gregory Hines, that's about as good as it gets. And, what an honor to be able to be interviewed by or to conduct an interview with someone like him who has, had the great experience of being in the presence of someone like Gregory Hines, who is just such an inspiration to all of us, even as, his legend just lives on, not only in the world of tap dance art, but just in the fact of the person that he was. So what a real honor and privilege to speak with Andrew-nemr tonight. All right, folks. Well, that is going to do it for our show tonight, and certainly appreciate you joining us. It's always a pleasure having you with us. If you're brand new to our program, we would love to have you back anytime. Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you with us tonight, and we certainly hope that you won't be a stranger, that you will be back. And so hope you have a great night, and we will be right back here in the next couple of days. We're going to take a few days off, but we'll be right back here. And just please check out our website at anytime, behindthemicradio.com, to stay up on all the guests that we have coming. And as always, we appreciate your support and your loyalty, and for always being here with us. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll chat with you again real soon. Good night.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect to Behind the Mic Radio on Twitter at BT Mic Radio and on Facebook at Behind the Mic Radio. Check out our website at behindthemicradio.com. Also, follow us right here on Blog Talk Radio, where you can stay up to date on all upcoming shows. Every episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast, and as always on iTunes. Thank you for joining us. Tonight's show has been brought to you by One Taste of Main Street Cake Shop, baked from scratch, custom-made cakes and cupcakes, and you'll be hooked. Every cake is made to order with only the finest and freshest ingredients. This is no ordinary bakery. Cakes are never pre-made. Main Street Cake Shop is in demand, having provided cakes and cupcakes for numerous prestigious events, bridal fairs, and venues. Owned and operated by April Murray, she has garnered many awards for not only her exquisite cake designs, but also for their incredible taste. If you're looking for a cake for any occasion, or cupcakes in a variety of flavors, then Main Street Cake Shop is the place. Visit them on the web at mainstreetcakeshop.com.